Okay, we're here. We're here for another episode of Adventures in Business Live. We're working the switchboard back here. Mandy, how are we doing today?
Your air traffic controlling, Amani. I see it. There's a lot going on there.
Air traffic control here. So we're going. What's up?
Going. Let's see what's going on. We went to some thrift stores this weekend. Scoot and I did, just trying to augment the renovation house situation. So that's fun. I hadn't been to a thrift store in a while. That was super fun. Look at some unique mirrors and stuff like that. That was cool.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm just about to be on the road a lot. And so I've been really, one of the things on my bingo card this year is manage my mornings, manage my nights. So I've been really buckling my seatbelts in the morning before I hit go. And I've loved it. And I'm really enjoying this. But I know this is fleeting because I know it's about to get nuts as it does that time of year, So I've been enjoying making my soup on Sundays. I've been enjoying just the pace, the very stable pace that I've got right now. I know it's about to get nuts, but I've been enjoying it.
All right. So ask me what I did this weekend.
I was about to ask, but you were like so excited. I'm like, he's just going to go for it. What did you do this weekend, Amani?
If you're thinking about sports that really caught your attention during the 2026 Winter Olympics, what are some of the sports that come to mind? Top 3.
Curling.
Okay. I went curling this weekend.
You did? Was this your first time?
First time.
Okay. Tell me about it. And why did you go? Obviously the Olympics, but how did this come about? That's so exciting.
So my friend Sandy from our improv team, it was her 40th birthday. So to celebrate her husband, her husband planned a curling outing. So in Vegas, there is a curling arena. You must go there. You must bundle up because it's cold inside. It's hot in Vegas. It was warm this weekend. And they teach you how to play curling. I'm still sore, by the way. It was 2 days ago.
What parts of your body are sore?
My legs for sure. My legs and like hip flexors or whatever. And so they teach you about, spinning the I forget the thing that it's called, the curl, and the strategy. It was fascinating. It was so much fun. It was so much. It was such a good activity.
Are you going to do it again? Are you going to take part in an intramural curling league now? Is this going to be part of your world?
So that's the question. They do have a beginners league. I think it starts pretty soon, but they do have a beginners league. I don't know. I'd be probably the only brown person out there, but I don't know.
Amani, do it. And what a great way. What a great way to meet some love interests too.
You think so?
Yes. Why not? It's so much better than meet somebody at a bar at a DJ gig, doing something that you love. You're learning something new together. It's active. It's interesting.
You are correct. It's new. There's a beginners league. I'm very intrigued. So that's why I wanted to share it with you because, we've been through this journey for 4 years. And so I just thought it was, first of all, it's very different.
Yeah.
It's a good team building. Well, I don't know about team building because some people might fall or whatever. Not fall because you're protected. But it's a
So
cool
team and
activity
fall.
because we all fell. But it's a cool activity.
What happens, like, how does this I don't remember how the scoring works. Like, how
Yeah.
long does a game last and how's the scoring
we,
work?
we did abbreviated games, but the goal is to try to first of all you got to get the thingy down there, and there's a circle, and you want to get it as close to the middle as possible, and then you count the scoring that way. So it makes more sense now. And you have different rounds. Like usually you'll have like 8 rounds or 10. So we only did like 2 or 3, and we were competing as people. We did well the last time, the last one out of 3. And so they teach you how to score. They teach you how to like launch yourself from the thing and then you spin it. It's a lot. I have much more respect for the curling athletes than I did before. There's a lot to it. A lot to it.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that you did that, Imani. It's
Yes,
rad.
yes,
It's
yes,
very original, which
yes,
actually segues to
yes,
our guest
yeah,
who
yes.
wants us to be original with our brand and encourage people to take risks. I'll let you do the introduction, but like that's an original task, and I've just been thinking about all
Yes.
the original things our guest has been trying to get us to do.
Okay. Okay. So on your screen now, you see Lauren Bayne that's with us. I met her through our community brand builders group. She's based down in Austin, Texas. And I just saw her in November, right? Yeah, we just saw her in November in the flesh. She's going to school us on all things branding, lots of cool ideas. She just recently made a brand shift, which we're going to ask about also. And she got some great ideas. And I think she's going to put us on the microscope. So we're going to welcome Lauren Bayne to the stage. Round of applause.
Yay!
Hi, Lauren. Nice to meet
Hey,
you.
y'all. Hey,
Yeah.
so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, we're excited to have you. I have so many questions. I'm curious because one of the things that really, really drives both Mandy and my success is our brands, both our personal brands and then like our businesses. And it continues to grow, which is very encouraging. So we're just really excited to pick your brain. I love to kind of start with this first question in terms of 30 seconds or less. How would you describe who Lauren Bayne is?
Oh boy, 30 seconds or less. Just like personality traits.
Whatever you want to say.
Most people describe me as funny, which is good. A lot of energy, enthusiastic, driven. I've always looked at things through the lens of creativity. So I think any good creative and entrepreneur will see a problem not necessarily as something that's anything more than just a challenge. And so for me, I just have always tried to solve problems through creative solutions. And from an early age was doing that, just, trying to sell things creatively. But yeah, I love my family. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a caregiver to my older parents, and I have friends and just loving life.
All right. All right.
Love that.
When did it click for you in terms of this is what I need to be doing? This is the message I need to share with the world. And this is my expertise that I want to just make sure everyone can kind of follow along with my thought process.
From an early age?
You can go early, you can go recently, whatever, whatever inspires you, whatever kind of comes to mind first. It can go, let's go early age. Yes, early age.
I think in reflection, like I think most of us from an early age, if somebody's watching you and can see this or have this gift to be able to see in you what your gifts are and what you've been put here on earth to do, and then figure out how to roll that into a career or roll that into something that either it's a passion that you get a paycheck for, or it's just something you do that fulfills you every day if it's not your paycheck job. But from an early age, I was always very creative, but I didn't know how to harness it. And I don't think there was anyone around me at the time that really even knew what to do with that. And, I was a drama kid and I loved to sing and perform. I would get nervous on stage. So I never really went really far with it. I was an ice skater and played sports. So I was always trying things and getting out there and wasn't scared of taking risks, and loved to approach things creatively. So, but I also, for some reason, loved broadcast journalism. I was like, I'll be a news anchor. So that's when, like in high school, when I went to career day, besides the fact that most of the girls wanted to be marine biologists because we thought that meant we were going to work at SeaWorld. Science was not a gift. I thought broadcast journalism was interesting because I loved stories. I loved like writing stories and reporting them. And my best friend growing up, we'd always do films in our kitchen with like being newscasters and stuff. So when I went to the University of Texas, majoring in journalism, you're at the communication school within the university, and they make you take one class within the communication school outside of your major. And so I was like, intro to advertising. And so I took intro to advertising, not knowing really anything about it. I didn't really understand like who makes commercials and billboards and radio spots. I knew nothing about it. And so in that intro to advertising class, you were tasked with basically selling things creatively. And it came so easily to me. And it was one of those stories you hear where the professor's like, come here a second. And they, bring you out of class and talk to you about what you're doing. And he's like, you really have a knack for this. And I was like, it's really fun. And I didn't know this was a career. And so in that was probably because you would take your core classes your freshman year. I think it was going into my sophomore year that I changed majors. And I started majoring in advertising and started learning everything about the industry, learning about all the different areas of advertising, and just found myself in the Texas portfolio school that they have inside to build out a creative portfolio. And so that's kind of where things shifted, I guess, for me, was right there in college.
I love it. Great story. Mandy, over to you.
Well, I just think this is a good reminder. I just want to hit pause for a second of this is just yet another time when an adult approached you and said, hey, why don't you give this a try? And look where it took your life. And I think now that we're semi-adults here, right? The three of us, I think this is just a good reminder, the impact you have when you take the time to just say one thing like that to a kid, to a college kid, to a high school, to a 10-year-old, whatever that is, like just take that time. That's so important because your trajectory completely changed because of that person. Are you ever in touch with that professor at all?
No, I should have followed up with him more. Absolutely. I should have. I need to. That's a good reminder. I should circle back with him and let him know. I've definitely, my creative portfolio teacher who did something similar with me as well. I always follow up with her and let her know how much that meant to me and like not to give up. So, but yeah, you're right. It is a good reminder. We need to do that more with the next.
All of us. Yeah, all of us. I want to talk about originality and how it wins every time because you have said, originality wins every time. You really encourage people to take a risk on their own originality. So I want to take you back to, you just mentioned ice skating. I want to take you back to when you were a little girl, a young girl, an ice skater. And I want to hear about the award-winning Pee Wee Herman dance routine that you did on the ice that's talked about. It's a perfect example of why originality wins.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So I found ice skating at a birthday party too, Amani. That's so funny. You might become a curling person now.
2030 Olympics. Here we come.
You never know. I went to an ice skating birthday party in middle school. I think I was in 6th grade. And again, it like came naturally and it was so fun. And I was doing a spin by the end. And so I'd never thought of it and asked my mom to do ice skating lessons. And so, I was older than most of the girls doing it at that point because you have to start at the very beginning and you have to work your way through every single level. And so I could win awards, but it wasn't like I wasn't doing like big award-winning performances. But they had this category called the spotlight category, and that's where you did have to still show off the techniques of that level you were on and be able to perform them, but the performance could be anything you wanted it to be, and they wanted it to be more entertaining. And they do similar things in the Olympics too, where you can just tell kind of that they're not performing as much for the points. And so you did get judged on your footwork, and your jumps and your spins, but you also got judged on the performance. And at the time, so if I'm in middle school, this is right in the 80s, and Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure movie was super popular, and that tequila song and his dance was super popular. And I just was like, oh, that would be so fun to do that dance on ice. And so I took it to my coach and she's like, you would do it? And I was like, yeah, I would do it. And it is so fascinating to me because if I play a character or if I'm doing something that isn't me, I have way more, and maybe that's normal, like for actors too, but I just feel like I can take more risk if I'm doing something else than just being me. So I wasn't embarrassed at all to put my hair back in a little bun and put on a red tie and put on a suit and go out there. And it just won every single time. And it was so fun. And it was also interesting too, because I was not nearly as nervous. All of my like jumps and spins were better than the performance that I had done earlier with the slow, beautiful music and the normal outfits and everything. So I just think about that story a lot as just proof of not only my own ability, but also just in general, like when you take risks and you try something different and you own it, you usually will come out. The ROI of being one of a kind is what I say a lot. And doing things differently, they become remembered. And it's part of the new acronym of my brand as well. And just like Amani was saying about that birthday party, you will remember that birthday party because it was original and different. And
yeah. Let's talk about the ROI of your the new acronym of your brand.
Right. So the remembered is in there. So it's called R.A.R.E. And unicorns are my logo, and unicorns are just a perfect metaphor to me of what I see when I see a business. I see just a sea of horses out there, and usually people with their gifts as well, but also in a business, I can see the unicorn part of their business and how they could stand out in their marketplace of horses. And so that's a rare breed of horses. It's magical and mystical. And so when R.A.R.E. came up for me and I was working on frameworks and methodologies, I was like, oh, this makes so much sense. It's not only an internal process with what I take my clients through. We reveal, we articulate, we render, and we execute. But it's also the outcome of what my clients experience with their brand. They're now recognized, they're adored, they're remembered, and they're entrusted. And so when we create these, I make sure that we check all those boxes so that they feel like, okay, yes, this is a rare breed of brand that's going out into the world. And so it just hits on so many levels. And that's something we could say about the Pee Wee Herman performance. He was recognized, he was adored, and the performance was adorable. It was remembered. And then the entrusted piece is like, I can trust people could trust me to do another performance like that and make them smile again. It was supposed to convert at that level.
And so go through the R.A.R.E. again. So R is rare.
Is recognized. So the brand is like first, like it's a recognizable brand. Like, oh, okay, this is different. This looks different. So that's recognized.
R is recognized. A is
adored.
Adored.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you get
And then other R is rare.
Remembered.
Okay. And the E.
Entrusted.
Okay. Got it. I got it. Okay. And then with the whole Pee Wee Herman thing, like I cannot stress enough. So, in doing research for this weekend, I saw your ice skating performance. When you told the story though, I did not realize that you were going to dress as Pee Wee Herman. That was a shock. That was amazing. But it sparked a story for me. I posted that on LinkedIn today of when I was a cheerleading coach all through high school and college. When I was in high school, I coached grade school. When I was in college, I coached high school. And we were an awesome team. The high school team was amazing. Technically, they had the acrobatics, they had everything, but like the competition started mimicking us and started beating us at certain things. Like they started I always thought that I was a good writer and I'd write like great cheer lyrics. Well, they started copying that. Or I thought that I had really, really cool moves. They started copying it. And there was this commercial. It was like this Buddy's carpet commercial. And the guy's back in Ohio, and he said, I don't care about making money. I just love to sell carpets, just like that. And it's one of those things you hear like over and over, like that 1-800 cars for kids. Like you hear these over and over. And I was like, what if we just put a local jingle in the middle of the routine? Like, what would happen? And so a couple of the girls and I went to a couple of Buddy's carpet stores, and they couldn't help us. So I called the corporate headquarters and I asked them, can I talk to Buddy? Like, I just need to talk to Buddy. They put Buddy on the phone, and Buddy actually recorded a thing for us for free. He didn't even charge us. We put it in the routine, and it did not match the routine at all. Like we had like dance music before, but we stopped in the middle and did one girl mouthed, I don't care about making money. I just love to sell carpets. And we went right back into the routine. And it was your routine reminded me of that moment. And I remember, I was a college kid coaching high school kids. So the parents were very involved. The parents were so worried if we changed up the routine in the middle of the season, like we would lose and their kids would feel sad. Like there was a lot of concern. And we boldly took this odd risk that had never been done before. And your story just really inspired me. And I'm sure it will inspire other people of like, take those risks, even if people tell you it's nuts, or even if people give a little trepidation. Like if you feel like it's going to happen, just do it. And that's what your little peewee
Well, before Lauren responds, did you win? What happened? What the parents
won.
think?
We won. We won the whole thing. And then it was so funny. A couple weeks ago, one of the girls that I coach sent me the YouTube link on Instagram.
Yes.
And my husband and I had watched it. I forgot about it. But then today I actually posted it on LinkedIn. All because of Lauren. Lauren inspired me to just remember how originality wins all the time.
I love that story. Okay, I can't wait to go watch
Story.
it. That's so
It's a great story. Yeah. Lauren, what do you think are 3 of the most common branding mistakes that businesses, individuals make?
That they think branding. So one is that they think branding is marketing. I've always said that marketing is like asking somebody out on a date, and branding or brand is why they say yes. So people want to distribute their offers and their business and get out there and start distributing. And I think marketing is distribution of brand. And there's an argument to be made that marketing is the umbrella and underneath it is branding and advertising. But to me, you are marketing something. You're like peddling it, you're pushing it out there. And so what are you pushing out there if you don't have a brand? And again, philosophies, different people will say different things, but some people say the brand can be formed after you're marketing it, but I would never want the marketplace to dictate what my brand is. You know, marketplace can inform some business decisions, but I think that some of the best brands are the ones that take the time up front with their businesses to think about, okay, we've got this business idea. Now, what's the brand? How's that going to show up? What is the message? What is our why? You know, go through all of it. And it's the process I take my founders through, so that the visual and verbal brand ecosystem that we're experiencing is rewarded through the marketing, and it only makes the marketing jobs easier. And so I just see, so maybe problem 2 is more dollars being thrown at ads, more dollars being thrown at automations and funnels and lead gens and all these like sales and marketing things that can work. They can work, but I think that there's an underserved value because it's extremely hard to measure of people just wanting to work with you because your brand checks so many boxes for them that they really don't need to be converted because you already know who you're talking to, what they need, how you want to show up for them. And like, you know, I say a lot of times you can be the Chick-fil-A and have closed on Sunday values and gonna have these backed up drive-throughs forever, and people will know that that's who you are because you stick to it, you stand for something, and you communicate that really well through your brand and your experience too. So I just think there's visual and verbal identities and messaging that could be happening to give people an experience beyond just looking at it as like marketing lingo and transactional terminology.
Okay. Great answer. In this current era of AI, why do you feel people are still afraid to take a risk to be a unicorn and stand out?
In the age of AI, they're more scared to take a risk. Is that what you're saying?
That's what maybe people are saying, yes, because everything is like this kind of this. You've seen a lot of sameness out there with like a lot of the content that's being shared. It's kind of, you know, all kind of looking the same.
Okay. So if you're a founder, an entrepreneur, I think before AI, you would go to Squarespace or, you know, Etsy's and buy templates if you didn't have the money or the ability to actually have somebody sit down with your brand and figure out how that comes to life uniquely for you. And so that ended up generating kind of a sea of sameness. I think the fear of taking risks is because there's so much data now. And it really has disrupted my industry because our industry before was just radio, television, and print and billboards, you know, and we measured that off some Nielsen ratings and, you know, it was very basic. But we knew, and I use this example a lot too, that originality and taking risks is rewarded because what is the one day a year out of 365 days a year that people will gather around their television on a Sunday and watch a sport they may not even care about to watch the one thing they try to skip 364 days a year?
The Super Bowl.
Exactly. And why do they do that? Because the businesses are taking risks on this one day. And I've always said to my clients, why would you not do that the other 364 days?
Yeah.
Why do we not use this mechanism of advertising and branding as an entertainment? Like it's something that should reward the viewer. You're asking them to take time out of their day to look at your print ad, to listen to your radio spot, to watch your commercial. Why would you just do the less risky, best practice, gonna just convert on the back end to some sales that we used to not be able to measure as well. But now that there's data to show that people will convert with things that maybe aren't as original, I think it comes down to like really looking at the bigger data. But it's also, what I've seen is it's a founder-led decision. There are founders like Liquid Death, and there's founders of LaCroix, you know, or let's say Ozarka, because LaCroix is kind of a fun brand, but I don't know how intentional they were with it. And Liquid Death is valued at like $1.5 billion, some crazy amount. And they say nothing about what's in the water. It's not natural springs. There's not a certain amount of bubbles. It is all brand. And they were so intentional with that. And they created a cult following and they stayed true to it. I mean, death to plastic and murder your thirst is super risky. But you can see what happens when you take that risk. Dr. Squatch went crazy with soap. You know, they're valued so high. So I think there's a world where both can exist. Dell does just fine selling computers. They're just, but I think on the stock ticker, Apple's doing better. And I don't know how many people line up for a Dell drop the way they do Apple. And to me, that's brand. That's the experience of brand. And so I think that people are afraid to take risks either because they don't know how to, or because they're putting so much money behind this. And it's easier to measure an A/B tested idea versus just, I'm going to stay true to this. I'm going to put that carpet jingle in here anyway, even though all my parents are saying, oh my gosh, this is a terrible idea. And see people that are willing to take risks and that are, and it could have failed. It could have been terrible. People might have been like, why is she dressed up as a dude doing that tequila dance? She's in seventh grade, you know? But I think the majority of the time we appreciate risk takers and we like disruptive, kind of sometimes polarizing content. So so why they're afraid is because normally they're spending money and they want to do something that's safe and more expected.
So one more follow-up, then I'll shoot it back to you, Manny, because I know it's so many. I told you. I
know, we get so many. Yeah.
I tried to warn you. What are some newer up-and-coming brands that you have your eye on that you feel confident that they'll break through also in the way that you were just speaking about Dr. Squatch and the murdering the plastic brand?
Liquid Death.
Liquid Death, excuse me. Yes.
Well, I was just drinking one, but she's already sold for $1 billion to Pepsi. Poppy's one. Up and coming brands. All I can think of are the ones that I already love, like Warby Parker's done a great job.
With the glasses, yeah.
I mean,
glasses.
I don't know any up and I mean, like, no, Yeti's been around for a long time, but that's a perfect example of how did you get people to spend $100 on a drink cooler? No one would have ever thought that before. And $40 on a cup. That's brand. I don't know any of them.
Those are two good examples, though. Those are two good. Yeti and Warby Parker. I like those. So those are good. Okay. Mandy, thanks for your patience. Carry on.
Well, I want to continue with the brand because you talk a lot about how your brand should make people feel a certain way. So I wanted to ask you, what are a couple things people can do to allow people to emote about their brand right away? Like, is there anything that people can move the needle on that will make people feel a way about them?
I think a lot of times people want to sell the product and not the problem they solve. So I think thinking about a problem in general, you usually have a feeling to a problem. So if you can stand in your consumer's shoes and think about like, what is the problem we are solving for them? And then what transformation are we giving them on the other side? You can usually uncover some emotions in there that you can leverage or exploit in a good way, so that you are the answer that they're like, thank you. I feel seen. I feel heard. I think a lot of times too, if you can think about the psychographic more than sometimes the demographic, like where they are in their life cycle. I did a spot once for a organic children's clothier. They make wool clothes that last a really long time. And so that was kind of it. They're like, we make children's clothes that last a really long time. Go. So I had to kind of dig into that. But because I do traditionally lean toward what is some emotional hook or what is something that people can relate to, I thought about the timeline of a kid growing up and how they grow up from 3, 4, 5. And when they get to 5 and they're leaving for kindergarten, the difference in those 3 years so quickly, but that he could still be wearing the same shirt throughout those 3 years. And so we just told a story around that emotion so that mothers felt seen while also selling the product attribute at the same time. And so really creativity typically is just a combination of two different things or two things that haven't been connected by a metaphorical dot sometimes, or a story. And so that's what I try to do, at least with the branding as well. Like that's an example of an ad campaign execution, but that can come from where the brand started, is dialing in on that emotion that our clothes last a long time because you want your children memories to last a long time in them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one.
Yeah, and like with creativity, I think I'm looking up on my vision board right now. It literally says create. Like I want to do more creating this year, and I think as kids, we're creating all the time, whether we know it or not. And then it falls off as adults, right? We get busy. We think we don't have time, but it's more important now as adults to create. So, what would you say to people who say, like, I don't have time to create? Like, I know this is very important, but how do you help people create space to create?
I was thinking in this podcast that I was not going to cry, but you said, here it comes. You said something about being a kid. And so the answer will be a workaround to it. But I think I don't have the time to create is the looking at your word create on the vision board. It reminds me of my son when he realized that he couldn't dig a hole under his bed and go down to this world that he wanted to create. And when I watched that click for him, and he was like, I don't know, 8 years old, 7 years old. And he's like, I just realized, Mom, I can't dig through the house and into the ground and make this underground world where I can open the door and go down into this cave. And his just mind went crazy. And I remember feeling so sad for him because I was like, he reminds me so much of Peter Pan. And I was like, there's that Peter Pan feeling. And so it made me in that moment be like, well, yes, you can create. Yes, we can. We can figure out how to do this. And I remember him feeling frustrated because my ideas were not exactly digging up the ground, but I was trying to, influence him to think a little bit differently about how he could access that imaginary world that he wanted to create. So I think in the I don't have time piece, I say that all the time, and I always feel bad because we will make time for the things that matter for us, for sure. But I think imagination is the ability to let go of any constraint. And so if you feel like time is the thing constraining you, imagination doesn't have that. So there's just so many different ways you can even define what create means for you. So yeah, for me, I just think finding with what outlet, we even having Amani on here, he's so artistic and his outlet is music. There's a million other things you do, but I think figuring out what your outlet for creativity is, and it doesn't have to be content creation, traditional content creation. I think then we're all doing one of the main reasons we were all here is to just kind of give back.
Yeah. I like the visual of your son. I think we all feel like that sometimes. Like, I just wish I could create more, like just that visual of him looking down and being like, I can't dig into the ground. But like you said, he can. Like there's ways to explore that. And I think that's inspirational for all of us. There are ways to explore that. We just have to look around it. So I appreciate you sharing that story.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I was like,
No,
I won't cry on adventures in business, but I do.
You won't be the first and you won't be the last. You're not the first, you won't be the last. But actually, this is actually a good segue because now will be a good time. We'll flip the switch, right? Yes, we'll flip the script, excuse me. And let you ask both myself and Mandy any question you'd like. Nothing is off limits. So who do you want to ask the question to first? And what is said question?
I kind of want to ask you both the same question I ask anyone that works for me. So I'll start with you, Amani.
Okay.
If money wasn't an object.
Yes.
And like you went out to the Vegas tables and you just hit it and you just got $50 million.
Okay.
Right. And so, yeah, money's not an issue. What would you want to do next? What's your, like, how would you want to spend your day? And not like, I want to take the money and go buy something. Like, what is the thing you would want to do to be productive at that point?
I would want to, I think we're old enough to remember, like back in the day when you listen to the radio at nighttime, it would be a DJ on there that would play the love songs and dedications for you. Call up, you say, I want to make this dedication to Scoot, tell him I miss him, and I can't wait to see him. Play me a song for him, and I'd play that song for you. And I'd just do that 5 days a week, and I would be content.
Oh, I love that. Love songs where you connect
A
with
jam. I love a good slow jam. Let me tell you, I love a
Mm,
good slow jam.
Amani, you're like a
And
modern day Delilah. You will be a
yes,
modern
yes,
day Delilah.
Delilah's good. You're
Mhm.
thinking like Melvin Lindsay from back in the day, Quiet Storm. I forget Art LeBeau was West Coast based in LA. There's certain notable like love song slow jam DJs that come on at nighttime. Nowadays the format is kind of gone by, but I would figure a way to bring it back and just have people call in or message and say, "Play me a song. What song are you gonna play?"
Please do that. You can just do that as an Instagram channel.
I could do that. I know that, but there's certain licensing things. But it's as you
Oh,
see, it's top of mind. As you see, it's top of mind. So I'm gonna try to figure out how to make it happen. But
okay,
that's
good.
you give me $50 million, I pay off my house, all my bills, get a place in Costa Rica, and I'm good to go for the rest.
Yes, I love that. Okay, is it bad if I ask the same question to Mandy?
Oh no, these
Okay.
are your rules. Yes.
Same question, because I love hearing it because it's fascinating to me. Well, you answer first, and then I'll say why.
I mean, I would do something real similar to what I'm doing, just without as much restriction, not restriction, time restriction. Like I would still work out in the morning, but my workouts would just be a little bit longer. I would linger in the shower a little bit longer. I would meditate a little bit longer. I would write, I'm an author, I write books, but I would probably write all day because I'm in a flow state when I'm writing. I would daydream more. I would wander. I love wandering and wondering. I just, I would eliminate the time that my time constraints are like, I can only do this for 15 minutes because I only have without time constraints, like I can just wander and wonder. And my husband and I actually just had a vacation like this. We went to Paris, and that was one of the things we said during Christmas is like, we are not going to make many plans. We're going to wake up, we're going to wander, we're going to wonder. And it was the best trip we've ever taken. We've been together 16 years. We've taken many trips. It was the best trip because we didn't give ourselves the time constraints. I think money equals time. And I think removing the money and the time thing, I would just wander and wonder and write a whole lot more.
I love that. That's so cool. Both of y'all are still going to be doing things that are related to what you do now. So that's a good thing. That means that you're not too far off from doing the job that you love. That's great.
Yeah. I'd keep the podcast. I'd keep most of the things that I'm already doing. I would just not have any time constraints surrounding it.
That's great.
Yeah. What advice do you give newer entrepreneurs who are just getting started that want to get everything aligned the right way as they move forward in terms of brand and their branding? What advice do you share with them?
Golly, there's so many different types of entrepreneurs and industries because there is, I would say always like, let's get your brand foundation set. But there is an argument to be made for some people to go MVP their product and just go see, do I have a minimal viable product? Can I really sell this? Do the people really want this? There might be a little bit more market testing to be done. But if you have the money and the ability to just launch, then definitely getting the brand foundation and making sure that the story's there, who you're talking to is their kind of fundamental messaging and positioning. And then creatively, how does that express and how does that show up? So I think spending time on that and making sure it's something you really love, because if most entrepreneurs, they're the first person selling their business. And so they've got to really love it and really feel like this is my baby, this is hitting, this is exactly what I have to look and sound like, because then it's just easier to get people on board and start your audience. But then also, I think having a really strong network of other entrepreneurs, knowing you're going to fail, that's part of it. And then I just have to say, because I don't think enough people say this, is unless I'm doing something wrong, but I'm not. There's so many people out there saying I'm a 7-figure founder and an 8-figure founder, and I make $500,000 a month, and I did all these sales and all this stuff. And so I think for some entrepreneurs starting out that might see some of that content, that can be scary, or that can be the expectation. So I just think being careful with some of those sound bites, but also just knowing that there is a big investment of money to really be successful as an entrepreneur that I think a lot of people don't really talk about enough. You know, we hear about Sarah Blakely taking $5,000 and starting Spanx, and you're like, but how are you paying your bills? And yes, she was selling machines door to door, but I would love more stories of entrepreneurs really talking about that, or saying, you know, I have heard one of my favorite entrepreneurs, and I'm going to interview him for my magazine, The Unicorn Society, but Jesse Cole of the Savannah Bananas,
Yes, yes, great brand,
Yeah.
great brand. Yes,
Great brand, love him, love everything about it. He's so vocal with all of his misses and how much money he lost doing these and some of these expensive decisions and things that happened and why he did this. So I love that. So I would, tell an early entrepreneur to make sure you're equipped with some of those battle stories, or put blinders on and go full steam ahead and go
yeah,
for it. Just see what happens, because most entrepreneurs are willing to take risks because they're already doing that as a founding your own business and not going to a paycheck job. But also that if you're willing to take risks, then you're just going to know that there's going to be failures along the way.
yeah. Now
And that's
we met in Brand Builders Group, and I always love to ask other Brand Builders Groups members of the community, how has being in that community helped you personally and professionally?
more than I could imagine. I was doing a lot of intentional paying outgoing payments to different personal development groups and different masterminds and coaching groups like that. But it's the one that just felt like the community for me. And there was just something about there's the people that they attract, just like good-hearted people. And I just really liked very purpose-based people. When my first advertising agency I worked at, one of the founders, Roy Spence, was one of the trailblazers of purpose-based branding. Now we all know that word.
Mhm.
And he even started a thing called the Purpose Institute. And so he was really, really, again, trailblazing purpose within businesses and then articulating that through their advertising campaigns. And it made so much sense to me. And so that whole idea that we're here for something bigger than just making a sale and going home always resonated with me. And that seems to be the type of people that Brand Builders attracts. I mean, I don't know if every personal brand, there's definitely a lot of people that are in it just for the income. And that's what I ask all my clients in my onboarding questions is, are you doing this more for income or impact? Most people say both, but some people just say impact. And so I'm just always curious what's motivating them, because usually if it's just income, that's not usually a match for me. So I think that's part of who's in that group with us, is people that want to transform other people's lives and yes, make money doing it, but they seem a little bit more motivated by impact. So that's what I like the most.
Excellent. Over to you, Mandy.
Well, you had just mentioned most entrepreneurs experience misses every now and again, right? And we don't talk about that enough. So what are some of your misses that you've had in your business over the years?
Good question, Mandy. Whew.
Ooh, well, to go
Where are my
to
finger steps?
Well, as you said that, I did like a screen grab of like 7 or 8, and I'm like, oh, I'm sure she's got a couple.
yes, not studying math more because I'm a right brainer, and so then I'm like, I'll be an entrepreneur and I'll make this money and it'll all work out. Yeah, so that's definitely a myth. I've always needed like that financial person to be my left brain. But I actually, to go back to that story I was talking about purpose, when 9/11 happened and I was maybe 26 years old, I didn't know anybody involved, but it was so impactful for my generation. There wasn't really anything major like that had happened. And so it made me feel super vulnerable. I was reading a book called Quarter Life Crisis at the time, and I went into work and we didn't have the internet. So it was really hard to know what was going on. So we were just kind of chattering in the hallway about it. And then my creative director came into my cube and we chit-chatted, and he said, yeah, I know it's terrible. So those Chili's baby back rib table tents, we're going to be doing a $2 off value message. So if we could do like not $13.99, $11.99, and like write some headlines for that, I need those by 5. If you could give me a bunch of lines for that. And I was like, okay. And so when he walked out of my cube, I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought about this. I am just selling ribs for a living. Like I didn't think about like what the craft of what I was doing, like I knew that I was going to try to win awards and do what the client wanted, but I never thought about like the end goal of the work and what we were doing. And I was like, I was just helping him sell ribs. Now it was the mindset I was in for sure at the time, because if the strategy department had come down and said, no, now more than ever, we need to gather around a hot plate of food with our family and friends and loved ones, and you can do it for $2 off. Like maybe if there had been some purpose around that strategy. And that was also something hard for me as a creative, is the strategy department is what would bring you your positioning. And I'm just like really, like I see strategy so clearly that it was hard to stay in that lane when I was like, wait, what if we did this? And I wanted to reposition messages a lot, but that wasn't the lane I was in, which is why chief brand officer and being like that role, I can do both creative and some of that creative strategy. So But that set me forth on a journey professionally where I was only wanting to work on brands that had more of a purpose. And I asked to be on like United Health and Race for the Cure. And then ultimately really want to start my own business. So the first risk I took, or the first miss, was just like leaving that corporate job and starting Austin Outdoor Kids and adventure excursions company for elementary age kids, with nothing but a big idea and just jump and the wings will form. Yeah. So I guess we could call that a miss. Did I say misses? Misses, or I should say lessons. They're all lessons. And I don't think I knew that to look at them that way. And I think now at this stage of life, and I'm in environments where people are like, you're so lucky you had that miss because now you have a huge lesson. Not everyone gets that lesson. I'm like, okay. So like a reframe of the misses.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Now, if we're going to go back to graduation day at University of Texas, we're in Austin on 6th Street and we're partying, and you walk outside and you meet today's version of yourself. What advice would you give the younger version of yourself who's just graduating from Austin based on everything you've learned and experienced in life so far?
Here they come. To not beat up on herself so much. I'm the worst critic. I'm not the type of person that's like, oh, I care what other people think. I mean, we all kind of do probably at some level, but that's never been what's held me back. It's me that's always held me back. It's my criticism of me. It's no one else saying anything. And so, man, it's the weirdest thing. And I think that's why I'm in this role now, because I can cheerlead anybody and I can tell everybody, like, this is what you should do and let's go for it. And I'll be the wind in your sail. Come on, come on, come on. But when it comes to me, I'm just like so mean to myself, and it's weird and I don't like it. So I would tell her that.
Great lesson. Mandy, bring us home.
So true, though. Like, Lauren, I appreciate you feeling the way you feel about it, because we all do that. We are so mean to ourselves. Like, if you could read a letter of the thoughts we have to ourselves and read it out loud, you would be like, that is the meanest. Who is that person? You'd be like, oh, it's me versus me. Like, it's so mean, right? But we do that. We do that. So I'm sad that you had the experience, but I'm glad you brought it up as just a reminder, just to be kinder and gentler to ourselves. We deserve that.
Yes.
You've been with us for an hour and you've given us so much. So how can we lift you up? How can we support you? Do you have anything out there we can share with the world? How can we just continue to support and cheer you on?
No, thank you. Well, yeah, Amani mentioned that we're in our brand builders group together, and that's really a mastermind, I guess, or a community of forming personal brands. And so when I got in there, it was after a 25-year career history trying to figure out who am I as a personal brand? What would I be a thought leader on? What do I really care about? But I was also needing to get another new business offering. I was excited to start something new, and I was just trying to figure out what that would be. And so I've spent the last couple of years iterating on this personal brand offering that's come together, and going back to what I was saying about MVPing for a little while to see what products you could sell. Over the last year, once I really started offering my fractional chief brand officer services, I started being able to create these beautiful brands for product, services, and messengers. And I am like, okay, I've got this down now. And now I can finally have the studio that I've really wanted. So R.A.R.E.brand.co is launching this spring in April, and it will be just, a traditional studio that houses my mission, which is to help entrepreneurs and experts create brands that make their business recognized, adored, remembered, and entrusted. And that truly is my mission and my heart. And so now I have an agency there, and I have a great team. I have the Unicorn Society, which is a magazine and it's a community. And then my personal brand, Lauren Bayne, will be the person, out there talking to people to help them dare to be rare. That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. So
I love a rhyme. Oh, Lauren, I love a rhyme. Dare to be rare. It's so good. How do we find the Unicorn Society? How do we find all these things?
So laurenbayne.com is the more fleshed out website. My archive work, like my advertising work, is on there. I don't know if I even have a menu bar to it anymore, but that's where you'll see most things. And there's a society button up there, which will push you down to the magazine. And I had just launched my first issue last fall on my birthday. So I had my 50th birthday last fall, and I was like, I've always wanted to do this. And so right now it's probably more of a portfolio piece, but then at the start of this year, I got to interview Ali Webb, who started Dry Bar and Messy. And so she's going to be my cover story now for the Q1 2026 magazine. So that's there. And then just started kicking off community too, with having these kind of monthly meetings. And yeah, so that's all there on laurenbayne.com. And then rarebrand.co is just a landing page right now that you can get on my list to find out what's all going to happen with that.
Awesome. That's so great.
Love it. So Lauren, we love you. We are so happy that you joined us and shared your wisdom, expertise. You're able to get vulnerable. And it's just exciting to introduce you to Mandy, because I know you two will get along great, and share you with the rest of our community, because I know that many people can use your service offerings. So just thank you for being here with us. We'll give you a round of applause. We'll put you back in the green room, but just thanks again. Just great conversation we had with you today.
Thank you guys so much. It was so fun talking with you guys. Flew by.
Fun. Yes. Thank
Stay
you
in
for
the green
being
room with
here,
us.
Lauren. You're the best.
Yes. We'll give you a round of applause. Stay there. Okay. See, now you can't hear the applause, but the audience does. So yes. All right, Mandy, we're done. Another great episode. Who do we have to look forward to next week?
We have an amazing human on the show next week. We have Megan Riley, president of events and coaching for Jesse Itzler. She's a former podcaster. Her podcast was top 12%. She's a top professional speaker. So I met her recently and fell madly in love with her. And so I'm excited to share her with you and with the audience. But with Megan Riley next week.
Love it. Thanks again to Lauren Bayne for dropping by and talking with us. Make sure you subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Share this, whether you're watching or listening, with a friend. And don't forget to leave us a rating and review. And with that, we will see you all next week live, for now, 4 p.m. on the East Coast, 1 p.m. on the West. Thank you for watching and listening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.